Hey, it's Dr. Erin, author of Mind Your Own Business and creator of the Amped Business Academy. I want to thank you for joining me, and in today's video I want to help you identify the one thing that's keeping you from designing the business and life that you are obsessed with. The one thing that's creating a gap between where you are and where you want to be. And I know you're here because you're a mission-driven entrepreneur or professional and you want to make a difference, and I honor that. You want to make an incredible income also doing what you love, given the gifts that you've been given. You want to monetize your passion and your purpose, and you want to make an impact. And not only do you want to reach the next level of success in your life, but you want to create significance in your life and the lives of so many others. And I'm here to help you do that as quickly as possible. I want to help you reach your next level of success, your next breakthrough. Now that might be different for all of us. Maybe you're wanting to break through to the 6 or 7 figure mark. Maybe it's not about the income, but more about impact. You want to be known as a thought leader or expert or influencer. Or maybe you want to become a powerful leader of your organization. Maybe you're seeking more balance in your life. And these are all such noble purposes. But you're feeling something different. You're asking yourself things like, is this really going to ever happen for me? How do others make it look so easy? Can I actually make the kind of money I want to make and enjoy my family, my relationships, my health? Maybe you're feeling like you're right on the brink of burnout. Like that this business has somehow started to become the greatest source of stress in your life. And you're working 12 to 14-hour days and you're wondering, am I even getting ahead? And you're a doer and you've been doing. And maybe you've been going from strategy to strategy, from program to program, but quite frankly, you aren't seeing the results you think you should be by now. You might even be feeling like you're one bad decision away from it all going away. And you're at the end of your resources, and if you can't make this, you're going to have to quit altogether. I can tell you I relate to all of those scenarios. Over the last 15 years, I've experienced all of the things I've just mentioned. I've been through the ups and the downs in every stage of business. I've had great successes, and I've had far more struggles and failures. And I remember getting to the point and asking myself, am I even meant to do this? And I remember having a heart-to-heart with God saying, show me, why am I suffering so much? Why isn't this happening for me? What am I doing wrong? Is this great success even meant for me? What am I supposed to be learning from this? And I remember pleading with God saying, please just don't waste my suffering. Reveal to me why I've been on this journey. Now, I won't go over my entire story with you here, but over the last 20 years, I started to get some answers. I got my doctorate in psychology. I've been a psychologist for the last 15 years, studying cognitive behavioral psychology, positive psychology. I'm a self-proclaimed personal development junkie, going to as many conferences as I can go to, getting my hands on as many books as I can read, studying neuroscience, sales, success, and spirituality. And what I've realized is the times when I spent the most amount of time on my business and the least amount of time on me is when I suffered the most. And when I started focusing on me, I finally started seeing success. I finally broke through that income ceiling and cracked success in my business. I went from 0 to a 6-figure coach in 1 year, became the saleswoman of the year in Nevada, became a 4-time best-selling author. I now lead my own sold-out one-day events all over the world. And I realized the key to all of this has been my mindset. The big shift in my business, the big shift in my bank account, the big shift in my ability to close sales and enroll my ideal dream clients, the big shift in my ability to inspire others for their own greatness all came when I decided to work on my own mindset. There's this saying that businesses are won or lost in the 6 inches between your ears. And I'm here to tell you that not only does my experience support that, but so does the science. In this video, my mission is to convince you that the most important thing to focus to take your business to the next level is your mindset. And it's not magic, it's science. So let's talk about it. Now, this mindset work isn't your typical mindset work. Up until now, maybe your mindset work has been about reading a self-help book or going to conferences and getting inspired, jumping up and down only to return 3 days later with the same brain, or some proclamation of some grandiose affirmation in the bathroom on your mirror. What I'm talking about is actual brain change. There's fancy words for it like neuro sculpting and neuroplasticity. It's what my doctorate is in, what I've paid over 100 grand to become an expert in, and it's the application of scientific principles of how your brain actually works, and we're going to throw it at your business. Let's start by talking about how the brain actually works. The first thing to understand is that every thought you've ever had is simply a result of your brain collecting all the data it's collected so far and attaching meaning to it. This is what we call beliefs. The second thing I want you to understand is that it is possible with the technology I'm going to share with you to uninstall or delete negative limiting thoughts and install and replace them with useful, positive, powerful thoughts. When you learn to do this, everything in your business and life will change. You will not only create the massive business growth that you have been desiring, but you will know how to keep creating success for the rest of your life. The first thing I want you to identify is what I call the gap. The gap is the space between where you are and where you want to be. And what happens in the gap is what I call the resistance. It's what your brain creates whenever you start creating or desiring something that has never yet been created. And it's the limiting belief that prevents you from getting to the next level in your business. And it sounds something like this. That's crazy. You've never been able to make that much money before. Or, who do you think you are? Or, you're delusional. That could never happen. Or, I'll ruin my relationship if I go after my business goal. Whatever it is, that's the resistance. And I simply want you to observe it. Okay, you with me? We're going to keep talking about the brain. The brain's job is to keep things safe and predictable. Now, being an entrepreneur means taking risks and trying new things. So when we understand that the resistance is just what brains do, we can start to have a different relationship with the resistance. And this is where it starts to get good. I want you to realize the resistance, though, it doesn't come from outside of yourself like you might think. The resistance doesn't come because you don't have enough time or money. The resistance doesn't appear because you don't have the right strategy or resources. The resistance isn't that the market is saturated with people who do what you do and you can't compete. None of these are the problem. None of those are what I am referring to here as the resistance. The resistance comes from inside of you, and you are unaware of the fact that you have a belief that is not in alignment with what you want to create. In psychology, we call this cognitive dissonance. So let me give you an example. On the one hand, you might have the thought, I want to make more money. But on the other hand, you also have the thought, money is hard to make. That's resistance. That's a belief that's causing dissonance. So I think you can see the importance of figuring out how to maneuver through this resistance. So let me start out with 2 pieces of good news about how our brains work. They might not seem like good news, but once I explain them, I think you will agree with me that they are indeed good news. The first piece of good news is, not all your thoughts are true. The second piece of good news is, you cannot control all of your thoughts. Okay. Both of these may appear on the surface to be bad news. So let's look at the first one. You might be saying, well, if I can't believe my thoughts, then what can I believe? Let me help. The brain is like a giant computer. It receives inputs since the day you were born, and its job is to make sense of the data it's receiving. So, for example, as a child, if you overhear your parents arguing about money, your brain collects the data, and its job is to store that data, make meaning, and apply it to future situations and new data. Your brain concludes, there's never enough money, and money causes problems between those I love. As a business owner who now wants to create massive success and financial freedom, this is a problem, and it causes the resistance. So true freedom comes when you realize that not all of your thoughts are true. They're often automatic, unwanted, uninvited, and simply how our brain has interpreted past experiences. So the second piece of good news, you cannot control all of your thoughts. On the surface, this may appear as terrible news. You might be thinking, but I want to be able to control my thoughts. Isn't that what creating a great mindset is all about anyways? But let's look at this more closely. You cannot necessarily control the first thought based on what I just explained, but you can rewire your brain and control the second thought. And once you do, you can change the actual structure of your brain, creating new neural pathways that will make it more likely to have the positive thought as your first thought. This is neuro sculpting. Imagine your brain is like a highway system or pathways in the grass. And the more you think a thought, the more traveled that pathway is, and the deeper the groove becomes in your brain. Over time, as you create new pathways, the less the old pathway is used, and the grass kind of grows up and the brain creates this new pathway. So how does one do this? How does one actually create a new pathway and change their brain? Well, the power comes in what I call the observer stance. What I want you to understand is the first step in changing your mindset is learning how to observe your thoughts. Imagine being a newscaster and saying, I'm having the thought that, in front of all of your thoughts. So your assignment is to think about your big goal for the next 12 months. Maybe it's to double your income. Maybe it's to become a paid keynote speaker. Maybe it's to lead your sales team to become high performers. As you think about your goal, I want you to notice the resistance that immediately shows up, that internal voice inside of you that has something to say about it. Write that thought down, document it, and observe it. Remember, it's mindset first. You can learn all the tactics and strategies and marketing platforms, and I'm going to teach those all to you as our relationship unfolds. But in order to utilize those to their fullest potential, you're going to need to create an unshakable mindset. Congratulations, you've taken your first step to train your brain for unstoppable success. Observing your thoughts is one of the greatest superpowers to create a business and life you're obsessed with, and you're on your way. I look forward to seeing you in video number 2, where I'll be teaching you the psychological technique to remove those negative limiting beliefs and replace them with powerful beliefs. It's called Bless and Release, and I believe it's the most powerful technology in my Mind Your Own Business method. Blessings, and I will see you in video number 2.